What's up, guys? I decided to skip the intro because I'm on a little later. Sorry for the delay, but what is up, guys? Happy Saturday. Welcome to Grayson Report. What is up? NJS55, Matthew, Tammy, Carol, Heather, whatever. Heather, Salvatore, Jen, Carol, Delia Lux, Clark, Dusty, Seracia Norton, I hope I said your name correctly. I do apologize if I butcher it. Julissa. Give me a second, guys. GMD. Wendy. I am Shailene. Joanne, what is up? How's everyone doing? How is your weekend going? I'll wait a few more minutes for people to trickle in, even though I do have a great crowd right now, but we'll wait a few more minutes. How's everyone's weekend doing? Oh my God. Going? Before we get into the nitty gritty, Lisa Boo goes going good. Julissa goes, I missed the beginning. I got a commercial. Tammy goes, so far so good. Have any of you guys are any of you doing anything interesting for Halloween? I know this is the last weekend before Halloween, as Halloween is already almost here, which will be here on Thursday. I do know I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but Trap, the M. Night Shyamalan film, is finally on Max for those of you that have Max. So if you guys are a fan of M. Night Shyamalan, check it out. I've been wanting to see it. I just haven't gotten a chance yet. Nerd Report in the house. What is up? Julissa painted half their deck today at a fun. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Productive day today, Julissa. Dusty staying home because there's an Iron Man going on. That's probably the best place to stay. Angela, what is up? Matthew's gonna watch some horror movies. That sounds like a plan. Scully Star Fashion, what is up? How's it going? All right, one of the questions I've always had, which is pretty much what the show is about, is why do women, and it's not that I'm not bashing these women or anything. I get sometimes you can't help who you love type of thing. I know we've all been there at some point in our time. We fell in love with the wrong person, but I'm not bashing these women. It's always I always had this in the back of my mind, is like, why women? I know there's some men too as well. Why do women marry someone in prison? And then obviously we're going to think of, the obvious, which is they're bad boys. Women like bad boys. Maybe because they're in prison. Maybe they have trust issues. At least they know that their man is in prison. You know what I mean? And he can't go anywhere. He can't see anybody. He's in a men's prison. Or because my thing is, it's like marrying someone in prison, you miss out on a lot of things. Like you can't play house with that person. You can't fall asleep next to them. You can't get you can't do some of the activities that you do when you are with someone special. I guess you could celebrate birthdays, but you can't really bring anything in a prison. But I'm just saying, there's things that you can't have when you're with someone in prison. And I know that can be difficult on some people. It's kind of like, I would say, like a long distance relationship in a way, because you can't be with that person all the time. And those are hard. And I know a lot of those don't make it. And then there are those women too that were married to someone before they went into prison and they decided to stay. Depending, I don't know if I was married to a guy in prison. I don't know because I've never been in that situation. So I don't know I don't know if I would ever be with a guy in prison. I don't know. Nikki Bella, what is up? Angela goes, I think they must have mental issues. I was maybe thinking that too. Julissa goes, I joked on Lewis's stream that they marry prisoners because they don't have to deal with them at home. Babe, possibility, because you're kind of like, you like being alone. I know there's some people that like to have their space. You definitely have your space there. Jay Brimble, what is up? Jay Brimble goes, because there's plenty to choose from. Lisa Boo, there's an actual word for women who fall in love with serial killer. Yes, there is, and I will get into that in a second. But I've always been wondering this, and I know I am not a psychologist, so I can't really deep dive, and I'm pretty sure there's probably a psychologist out there that has done it. But I've always wondered, I've always been intrigued, like, how could a woman marry someone like Richard Ramirez, for example, who was the Night Stalker, who could marry Ted Bundy. I get it. Everyone has the right to feel loved, but Ted Bundy. I know there was a few that were married while their husbands were committing crimes. One of them, I think, was John Wayne Gacy, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Green River Killer was one. I know the daughter of the Green River Killer kind of doesn't want anything to do with them, but I don't know much about like the wives or anything like that. I do know people, whenever I thought of a woman where her husband went to jail and she was sticking around by their side, I always thought that was a pretty strong woman. They're very dedicated to their husband. They take their vows very seriously. Nothing wrong with that. There isn't anything wrong. It just depends, I guess, on what they went to prison for. Angela goes, she divorced him. I am Shailene goes, no way in hell would I. I don't think I would either. Chris, what is up? I mean, that has to be, like I said earlier, that has to be rough because you do not get. And I know a lot of women, when they're in a relationship, they want that companionship. They want, that sense of security. They want to feel loved. They want this. I'm not saying all women do, but you don't get that. You do when you're with them. Maybe a 2-hour visit. I know the Menendez brothers don't get conjugal visits. So, I mean, I know some prisons do allow it. I think California does allow it, but there's still some prisons that are sticklers for it. They still follow the old ways. But just imagine being married to someone and you're not able to consummate your marriage. You're not able to have that type of relationship. And I know that's important to a lot of people, to have that type of connection. But I mean, I guess some people don't need that, as well. But I don't know if that's something I could do at all. I feel like that would be something, I mean, I might as well. I feel like if you're in a relationship like that, because you're essentially independent, you're essentially on your own, you might as well just remain independent. But I guess it's someone you could talk to. But just to So there was a woman, I do have an article, that married the Night Stalker. I will get into, I have a few articles. She married, the Night Stalker is kind of always a true crime story. I don't want to sign up for your dang newsletter. Is always a true crime story that I've always followed, because it did happen too close to home. I was very young when this happened. I do remember my dad putting bars on the house because in the city I lived in, it was on the south end of the city. I live in the north end of the city. He did unalive 2 women, older women. I do not know which house. I've never seen the house, so I don't know which one exactly. But I do know it's on the south side of the town I live here in SoCal, about 35 minutes without traffic from Los Angeles. east of Los Angeles, so I live more inland. So I've always followed the Night Stalker. I've always, whenever there's a thing about him, but just imagining marrying the Night Stalker, and I know a lot of you are very familiar with his story. He's also connected to the Cecil Hotel as well. He lived there for a bit. They said that he was a satanic worshiper. But this is Doreen Loy. She married him until his death. I believed he was put to death in, I think, 2013, if I'm not mistaken. I am Shailene goes, that's a friendship, not a marriage. I agree. I totally agree. I think it's just, it's you don't get that physical unless you go and visit them, right? But you don't get that physical connection. You just get like that, I guess, like a companion. You kind of get like a friendship, like a companionship in that sense, but you don't get the other things that you get when it comes to marriage. She decided to marry. She fell in love, and I know you can't help who you love, because some of us, I know, when we were young and stupid, we did marry, or we didn't marry, but we went out with, you know, people that we probably shouldn't have gone. But she married him. She looked past everything he did, and she fell in love with him. There was also a Netflix documentary on the Night Stalker as well. I don't know if it's still up, but it was recently. The two started their courtship in 1985 after she saw his mugshot on TV and wrote to him in prison. Although she was present for his murder trial that year, during which he was convicted of 13 murder charges, Loy, I believe that's how you pronounce it, remained convinced of his innocence. The two wrote a total of 75 letters back and forth over the next 11 years, and in 1996, they were wed at San Quentin State Prison, where Ramirez was on death row. Loy wore a white $148 wedding dress embellished with pearls, according to the San Francisco Examiner. Loy was a 41-year-old magazine editor, self-described virgin, and practicing Catholic at the time she married Ramirez. It seemed that opposites attract for the Satanist and church-going duo. Although she knew the pairing would seem crazy to others, it was a risk she was willing to take. Because, I mean, when you love someone, sometimes you just don't care. You don't care what anybody else thinks. You care what you think. You go by your heart. Totally understandable. Sometimes you can't help who you love. But it just makes me wonder, like, why? It'd be hard for me to understand if my best friend came to me and said, you know, this guy, Timothy McVeigh, who just got convicted, I really think he's cute. I'm going to write to him. I mean, I would think that's kind of strange. She told CNN in 1997. Even after her family disowned her, she stuck by her man. I can't help it's the way the world looks at him. They don't know him the way I do. On her wedding date, which was a televised interview, and the CNN story, she continued to sing her new husband's praises. He's kind, he's funny, he's charming. I think he's a really great person. For some odd reason, she looked past what he did, and saw him as, you know, as what she saw him as. He's my best friend. He's my buddy. But in 2009, after DNA evidence inked Ramirez to AR and murder of a 9-year-old San Francisco girl, Mei Lung, Loy and Ramirez split. So she did split. But Loy was not the only woman linked to the Night Stalker after his conviction. Geraldo Rivera introduced a woman. I have not seen his name in a long time. Introduced a woman named Christine Lee as his fiance on his talk show, but she was notably tight-lipped about their relationship, besides saying that they never kissed because he was always behind protective glass. Just imagine being with someone and not being able to kiss them, kind of thing. That is crazy. Lisa Boo, wasn't he the one who was on the date? I don't think so. I think that's a different guy, Lisa Boo. He appeared, it's funny though, because there is a Netflix show. I have not seen it yet. I know I am always like pinpointing to Netflix, but there is a Netflix show about the guy from the dating show with Anna Kendrick, I believe her name is, the actress. And it's funny because now he's popping up. The actual guy is popping up on my feed, and I was like, oh. But I have not seen that one yet. That's another one on my list. It's called it looks good, but I forgot the name of it. It is on Netflix for any of you that have Netflix. For any of those that still have Netflix, because I know some people. Woman of the Hour. It has Anna Kendrick, I believe her name is. I saw the trailer. It looks pretty good. I think, Lisa Boo, that is the one that you are referring to. I have not seen that one yet, and it is on my list. But if you guys are looking for something true crime-ish to watch, check that out. Gunner Girl, what is up? Heather Salvatore goes, no, we were never stupid. Dusty goes, kind of like a pen pal. Yeah, kind of. Like you kind of get that. You do get that companionship, but in a different way kind of thing. Panda Bear goes, I'm not that familiar with him. He, if you're referring to the Night Stalker, it was around the 80s, I believe. Early 80s to mid 80s. From, he was a serial killer from April of 1984 to August of 1985 in the greater Los Angeles area and San Francisco Bay Area. He unalived at least 14 people during various break-ins, with his crimes usually taking place in the afternoon. A lot of people, and this was during the summertime, so a lot of people had their windows open. And because this was occurring, people would close their windows. And ironically, I never knew why my dad had, installed bars on our house, but it was during this time. So I kind of put two and two together and figured that it was probably due to this when I got older and I was watching, crime docs. And he was dubbed the Night Stalker, the Walk-in Killer, and the Valley Intruder. For those of you who are not familiar with Richard Ramirez. Nerd Report with Free the Night Stalker. Heather, whatever she is, if you guys remember Twilight, she played that annoying I don't know, to me she was annoying, like, because Bella's kind of like an introvert, I guess you could say, kind of to herself, and then Anna Kendrick's character is like, hey, how's it going type of person. So she was that person, if you guys remember. I don't remember her name in Twilight though. Lisa Boo can never be too safe. True. What's up, Trixie? How's it going? Angela didn't. Yes, Angela. The Netflix also has, outside of Monsters, they do have a documentary. I did see it about on the Menendez brothers, and it is in their words. So if you guys have not seen that, check it out. I think it's a little more informative, a little more truthful. Without the liberties of Monsters, because Monsters did take some creative liberties, which is nothing wrong with that, because I get when you're creating something, you do have a vision for it. So I do understand why they do that. But it does have them interviewed, and the interviews were taken from last year. But it does kind of explain a little more if you guys have not caught that. Trixie, thank you for that super chat. Hey, everyone. Hearts for Trixie. Thank you, Trixie. Yes, Anna Kendrick, Chris Barber. That's who I'm talking about. Panda Bear goes, I thought Alice was annoying. Thank you, Panda Bear. Yes, she was. The other version of the Menendez brothers doc, for people who want to see that, it is also on Netflix. It is not the Monsters one, but it is. Oh, there's a Zodiac one too. Sorry, guys. I am so behind on things that I want to catch. It's crazy. It is there is a Zodiac one if you guys are into serial killers. Kind of like, well, I like to watch those docs. I think it's just called the Menendez Brothers, if I'm not mistaken, on Netflix. Wendy, if you search on Netflix the Menendez Brothers, it should pop up, and it has a picture of them on the cover, like in black and white. Lisa Boo, yes, the Zodiac I think just came out the other day, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted to catch that out. As we know, Eric and Lyle Menendez are also married. I think Lyle had 2 marriages. Because Lyle was I think he cheated on his first one, if I'm not mistaken. We do know about Eric's wife because they seen Tammy. They do talk about her a lot. She does reside in Las Vegas, and if he does get out, that is where he does plan to go. She is a store owner, a business owner, if I'm not mistaken, in Las Vegas. Lyle was first married to Anna Erickson from 1996 to 2001. He then married his current wife, Rebecca, in 2003. Eric wed his wife, Tammy, in 1999. Tammy's love has propelled me to become a better person. I want to be the greatest possible husband to her, Eric told People in 2005, and this affects the choices I make every day in prison. Tammy has taught me how to be a good husband. Like I said, he's behind bars. I know she goes and visits him. There's no conjugal visits. So I feel like, I mean, they probably do have a companionship, I want to say it is, but it's not. And I'm assuming it's enough for Tammy, but for me, I think for most women that probably wouldn't, because you would get frustrated. You would want your husband there with you while you're doing, you know, in the house with you. You know what I mean? The brothers are back in the spotlight thanks to the monsters, which we all know. And they are up for resentencing. They've been in prison for 35 years. Lyle was previously married to a model. Lyle's first wife was Erickson, a former salon receptionist turned model. According to The Sun, Erickson wrote a letter to Lyle during his and Eric's first trial. He responded, and they began corresponding regularly, eventually developing a relationship. In 1994, Erickson moved to Los Angeles to be closer to Lyle and got a job at a record label. The pair married on July 2nd of 1996, the day Lyle was sentenced to life in prison. Eric's attorney, Leslie Abramson, and their aunt, Marta Menendez, attended the ceremony, which was conducted via speakerphone. The couple stayed together until Erickson filed for divorce in 2001, alleging that Lyle was unfaithful to her and exchanged letters with another woman without her knowledge. Lyle remained, I mean, just because they're in prison doesn't mean that they're not doing other things, you know what I mean? But that was one of my things, thinking, well, maybe a woman has trust issues, and at least they know that their man is in an all men's prison, so there's no way that they could, you know, cheat on him. But in this case, he did find a way. Lyle remarried 2 years after divorcing Erickson, which sucks for Erickson. Rebecca Sneed and Lyle knew each other for a decade before marrying in November 2003. Rebecca, a magazine journalist and editor, first began communicating with Lyle through letters, and they became a couple after he and Erickson split. Since marrying Lyle, Rebecca became an attorney. She lives in Sacramento, California, and visits Lyle weekly. I'm wondering if she still lives out there, because Lyle is now, he resides in the Donovan Correctional Facility, which is in San Diego, with his brother. Our interactions tend to be very free of distractions, and we probably have more intimate conversations than most married spouses do, who are distracted by life's events. Lyle told People in 2017, we try and talk on the phone every day, sometimes several times a day. I have a very steady, involved marriage, and that helps sustain me and brings a lot of peace and joy. It's a counter to the unpredictable, very stressful environment here. Not saying that, but maybe them having a wife, having a marriage, motivates them. Eric and his wife Tammy started exchanging letters in 1993. Tammy is the woman here in white, for any of you that do not know. I don't think there's a picture of Rebecca. She probably doesn't want the. I know Tammy's been in the spotlight, but I don't think, maybe Rebecca does not want to be in the spotlight. I'm not sure because I've never seen a picture. They don't really too much talk about her. It seems like they talk a lot about Tammy when they mention Tammy Sokoman was married to Chuck Sokoman and living with him and her teenage daughters from a prior relationship when she began following the brothers' trial on TV in 1993. Feeling sorry for Eric, she sent him a letter in prison with Chuck's blessing. I told him that I was going to write to Eric. Tammy told People he said to go ahead. I really didn't know if Eric would write back. Eric previously told People he believes fate made him open Tammy's letter out of the flood of mail he receives. I saw Tammy's letter and felt something. I received thousands of letters, but I set this one aside. I got a feeling, Eric previously told People. And I wrote her back. Tammy and I continue to correspond. I enjoy writing to her. It was a slow friendship. It was special to me because it was not associated with the trial and the media. Tammy was someone not in the craziness. Eric and Tammy started dating after her husband passed. In 1996, Tammy discovered that her then husband, Chuck, was allegedly R-ing her teenage daughter beginning when she was 15 years old. Chuck turned himself into the police and died by S 2 days later. Tammy and Chuck shared a then 9-month-old daughter, Talia, when he passed. I reached out to Eric. He comforted me. Our letters started taking on a more serious tone, she recalled. Eric and Tammy first met 4 years after they started communicating. Julissa goes, you know what? I was going to say something that it's just so insane. It's like the ladies that marry ghosts. It is, but I feel like the women that marry ghosts, I mean, at least these women are marrying a person. I mean, technically a ghost used to be a person, but the women that marry a ghost, that baffles me even more. Because, and they admit it, there's two women. There's one that married a pirate, and then there's one that married a Victorian soldier. They both divorced, obviously. Obviously. One of them divorced because, and this is for people that are new here that haven't heard the story. One of them divorced because she claims that her husband, who is a ghost, cheated on her on Marilyn Monroe, who happened to also be at their wedding. And she does have a wedding, and it was posted on her Instagram. It's broke card. I feel like she did it because she does have like this career type of thing. Like she's a musician. And I feel like she did it just for the attention to get the word out, which I mean, I guess if you don't mind people looking at you crazy, that's cool. That's something I probably would not admit. There are celebrities that have admitted to having sexual encounters with ghosts. There are women and men out there that have married a doll and had doll children. So I find all of this crazy. I mean, at least these women are marrying someone that's alive and not a ghost. Because, I mean, obviously, you could tell from the get-go that marrying a ghost, your marriage isn't going to last. He was like, she said in the story, oh, he started to not be around as much. I'm like, girl, he's a ghost. What do you expect? You know what I mean? He's a ghost. He's not going to be there in the flesh with you all the time. You're not going to know. I don't know how she knew he was there, too. You know what I mean? Unless she does claim that she has a gift now because of her encounter. But, unless you have a gift and but still, like, obviously he's going to come and go as he pleases. He's a ghost. It's just weird. is weird. But with these women, at least, you know what I mean? At least it's a human. It's not a ghost. After Eric was convicted of first-degree murder, he invited Tammy, who was dating a doctor at the time, to visit him at Folsom State Prison. They met for the first time in August of 1997. Tammy told people she was really nervous to meet Eric and that he didn't even know what she looked like. I'd only sent him a tiny 1x1-inch picture, Tammy recalled, but when he walked into the room, he was so full of life, he hopped down the stairs. It was like I was meeting an old friend. Eric said meeting Tammy for the first time was the most beautiful experience of his life. Tammy and Eric married about a year after they met. Tammy planned to use her inheritance from Chuck's death to move to Georgia and establish a life for herself and Talia there, but she changed her plans after meeting and falling in love with Eric. She moved to Sacramento to be closer to him and visited him 4 times per week, which is weird that in a recent like I said earlier, she now lives in Vegas and he is in San Diego. So I mean, it's only a 4-hour drive, so I guess it's not that bad, but I found it kind of weird that she was in Vegas and not here. In 1998, Eric proposed to Tammy and they married at Folsom Prison with a Twinkie serving as their wedding cake. After his transfer to Pleasant Valley State Prison, she and Talia trekked close to 150 miles every week for visits. Tammy said that a lot of her friends were put off by her and Eric's relationship and that while other kids at school never bullied Talia about it, Tammy thought their parents may be keeping their distance because of her infamous husband. Every single time a parent would say to me, "No, my daughter can't stay over at your house," I would wonder if the underlying reason was Eric. Tammy admitted there's always the question in my mind. I am pretty sure it was. If you were married to a very publicized case of a murder trial, I think there'd be a lot of parents that wouldn't want their kids coming over to her house. So I think she hit the dot on that one. When asked if she was troubled by Eric murdering his parents, Tammy told NBC News in 2005 that she was, but that she didn't believe her husband was beyond redemption. "I know his soul and I do know what happened that night," she said, "and I do understand. I believe that within everybody put in a certain circumstances, you will, be able to unalive somebody. I mean, I do believe that Eric is a very good person." The same year, Eric told people that Tammy was a lifesaver for him. Tammy's love was a major step in my choosing life, he said. "Having someone who loves you unconditionally, who you can be completely open with, is good for anybody. To know that this person loves me as I am." They do not, as I mentioned, they do not have conjugal visits, but I guess I think they overturned it, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, though. It does say conjugal visits are prohibited for inmates serving life sentences in California. Conjugal visits in, let me see, for life sentences in California. No, okay, so no, it wasn't overturned. I thought it was. No, life sentence prisoners in California are not eligible for conjugal visits. So they do not, like I had said earlier, they do not have that that connection that way, I guess, like other people do. And it just basically says that Tammy and Rebecca are private people. Rebecca hasn't done any interviews, which I don't even know what she looks like, has remained in Lyle's corner for more than 2 decades. Tammy has been the one that we've seen mostly, and they do mention her when they do speak about the brothers. And she does reside in Vegas, as I had said as well. Trixie goes, "When you're locked up with all men, any chick looks good." True. Very true. And then Trixie goes, "But have you seen the women that marry inmates?" Dusty goes, I know of marriages on the outside that are not intimate. I'm not saying that a marriage can't work if you're not intimate. So I mean, but I know that's kind of like a lot of people do want that connection as well. But I mean, obviously, the intimate part can be important to some people, and to some people it doesn't. So I'm not saying that you can't have a relationship without having that. Because obviously any relationship you have is based on communication. So if you have the communication, that is, I think, is the most important thing, which is probably what they have. So nothing wrong with that, I guess. Something I probably would not do. I know a lot of you had said too earlier that you wouldn't have done that either. There are also other men in prison that I did not know about. I do not want to really show his picture because he has a doohickey on his head. But there are others, as well as Charles Manson. This is the 10 most infamous murderers who married in prison. I did not know about Manson, or Ted Bundy for that matter. And this article is, there's no date. Came out in 2014, so it's a bit old. It's a bit older article, but it's saying that Charles Manson and Aftone Elaine Starr Burton, the 26-year-old woman at the time, this was 10 years ago, who runs his social media sites, have been granted a marriage license. And this was recent to this article by the state of California. It caused a considerable uproar, especially among lonely singles who lamented their own inability to find love, while old Charlie somehow got engaged without ever leaving the confines of Corcoran State Prison. But as the saying goes, it's not you, it's them. While unaliving someone isn't a recommended way to attract a mate, it certainly does seem to work for some folks. This is the term, which I was going to speak about in another article, but this one divulged it, is hybristophilia. Hopefully I'm saying it correct. The condition of being turned on by someone who commits a violent crime. So there is an official term for this. I believe there was an official term as well for those people who marry dolls. I forgot what the term was. The condition of being turned on by someone who commits violent crimes has often been cited by psychologists as an explanation for why some women, and there are men too as well, willingly marry jailbirds. So it's not because, I mean, I guess it does still consider them, because, you know, some women are attracted to the bad boy, so it could still involve that. If Manson does get hitched while rotting in prison, he certainly won't be the first convicted murderer to do so. I think he did, because this is an older article. And he was also married before he committed the crimes. Let me see if I can find, like, where, if it said that if they did get married. Sorry, guys. Because he was married to 2 other women prior to being convicted. Or was he married? Did he marry them while he was convicted? He was starting his criminal ways, according to this article that I'm looking at to find out. Oh, it said he almost walked down the aisle. Okay, so this article came out in 2019, and it says journalist Daniel Simone later claimed Burton had only wanted to marry the convicted felon so that she could gain possession of his corpse after he died and displayed it in a glass coffin. So she basically fooled him because she just wanted his corpse. Like, what is that? That's even that's crazier than marrying the man. Julissa goes, that's sick, exactly. Like, what is that? That's worse than marrying him. She was 26 and he was 80 at the time. Like, I mean, you always see that saying when a very young woman marries someone that old, they want them for their money, but obviously he's in prison, so that wasn't the case. But still, she just used him, kind of. But that was, yeah. What the hell? Susan Atkins, Manson family member Atkins, aka Sadie Mae Glutz, or Sexy Sadie, was serving a life sentence for her role in the Tate LaBianca murders and the unaliving of Gary Heineman when she married eccentric, self-described multimillionaire Donald Lee Leisure, or Leisure with a dollar sign, as he prefers it spelled. In a 1981 ceremony at the California Institute for Women in Frontera, California, Atkins had their marriage annulled soon after when she reportedly learned that he wasn't as rich as he claimed and that he had been previously married some 35 times. In 1987, she tied the knot again to Harvard law student James Whitehouse, who was 15 years her junior. They remained together until her death in 2009. So here's a case of a man marrying someone in prison. Tex Watson, Manson family member. I mean, this seems like it's more focused on the Manson clan. Manson family member Charles Denton Tex Watson beat both Atkins and Manson to the altar, or beat both Atkins and Manson to the altar, marrying Kristen Joan Swed Veg in 1979 while serving a life sentence for 7 counts of first-degree murder pertaining to the Tate LaBianca slayings. Watson, who converted to Christianity in 1975 and eventually became an ordained minister, fathered 4 children with Veg before 1996, when the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation banned conjugal visits for lifers. The couple divorced in 2003. So in 1996 was when California decided to ban conjugal visits. Ted Bundy, believe it or not, an admitted serial killer and necrophile. Bundy confessed to 30 homicides, though his victims' total may have been much higher. That didn't stop Carol Ann Boone, a twice-divorced mother of 2 who dated him before his initial arrest, from smuggling cash to Bundy to help fund a 1977 escape from prison, or marrying him in a courtroom in February of 1980 during the penalty phase of his trial in Florida. Boone gave birth to a daughter in 1982 and named Bundy as the father. Ramirez, we already know about him because I had spoke about him earlier. I did talk about Lyle and Eric as well. Kenneth Bianchi, arrested in 1979 for his role in the Hillside Strangler, murders that terrorized LA in the late 70s. Bianchi convinced one of the female admirers who'd contacted him during his trial to give false testimony on his behalf. She was later arrested and convicted for attempting to ask a woman to make it seem as if the Hillside Strangler was still at large. In 1989, Bianchi married pen pal Shirley Joyce Book, who reportedly tried to woo Ted Bundy before moving on to Bianchi. So she couldn't get Ted Bundy, so she went after someone else. I don't know about, like, I don't know about Ted Bundy. Like, really. What did this Carol Ann Boone, twice divorced mother of two, saw in Ted Bundy? What did she see in him? I know a lot of you are familiar with his crimes and Kenneth Bianchi. I know of him, but I've never really dwelled into his crimes, so I don't know, like, the major. I know Bundy more than I do the Hillside Strangler. Wendy goes, my hubby's 13 years my junior. Matthew goes, so for the first time she wanted an old guy for his body but not his money. World is flip-flopped. Exactly. Julissa goes, wasn't he the pedophile? Bundy? Or the Hillside Strangler? We also have Angelo Bono Jr., Kenneth Bianchi's cousin and partner with the Hillside Strangler. Like I said, I've heard of the Hillside Strangler, but I've never actually seen a documentary on it, so I'm not too familiar with it. Never mind. You didn't hear what I said. Lisa, don't say that word. I won't. I should have said P. With the PDF file. You didn't hear me say that, people. Nerd report or PDF. Okay, PDF. Ozzy, what is up? Dusty knows apparently Ted Bundy was the ladies' man. He was the cousin of my boyfriend at the U of Washington. He would pick up girls at Lake Sammamish local park. Shelly, what is up? Trixie goes, use the other term for them. It has a double meaning. There's also Angelo Bono Jr., who was Kenneth Bianchi's cousin and partner in the Hillside Strangler killings. Bono caught the eye of Christine Kizuka while she was visiting her husband and the father of her 3 children, who spent 5 months in a cell next to Bono at the LA County Jail while serving an 18-month stunt for A with a deadly weapon. Bono and Kizuka tied the knot at Folsom Prison in 1986, though prison officials emphasized at the time that the horrific nature of Bono's crimes, which included T and SA, disqualified him for enjoying any conjugal visits with his new bride. There's also Oscar Ray Bolin Jr. Okay, Julissa was referring to Bundy. Because one of his victims was super young for the P. Oscar Ray Bolin Jr., Bolin the butcher, who is currently on death row for the brutal mid-80R and murder of 3 Florida women, scored a major coup of sorts in 1996 when he married in a telephone ceremony his erstwhile public defender. I was going to talk about her separately, but she's in here. Rosaline Martinez, a mother of 4 and the wife of a prominent attorney when she first met Bolin, lost both her first husband and her position at the public defender's office after jail officials suggested she'd been caught in positions of a more compromising nature in the killer's cell. one last one. Varg Verkernes. I've never heard of this person. I don't know if you guys have. Verkernes, the influential black metal musician behind one-man band Bruisum, married and impregnated his wife Marie Cachette while serving a 21-year sentence in Norwegian prison for the killing of Mayhem guitarist Austin Euronymous Erseth and the A of several architectural significant churches. Now living in France with their 4 children, Verkernes and Cachette were arrested in 2013 under suspicion of plotting a T8 together, and the musician was ultimately found guilty in French court for inciting our hatred against Jews and Muslims. Delea, what is up? But those are some of the people that got married in prison, that were convicted of heinous crimes. Julissa goes, can you imagine being his child? Yes. I'm pretty sure when that child got older, they definitely did not want to be connected to him. I don't blame them. I wouldn't. That has to be rough. I'm pretty sure that child, when they were old enough to know, and I know old enough to know that what their father did, I'm pretty sure they kept it quiet after that. I know if I was in that position, I probably would do that. I don't know. I would never know how that person would feel, because that has to be, because if people knew, they would definitely, especially, you know how kids are nowadays, like they like to tease and stuff like that. If people knew, whoa. Wendy, thank you for that super sticker of the corgi, and thank you, Heather whatever as well for the super sticker with the hippos. Thank you, ladies. Hearts for Wendy and Heather whatever. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate that. All right, this is kind of like a an article that kind of just sums it up. I feel it's like a women married to men behind bars. What do we know about them? Almost nothing. What do we think we know? That they are deranged women attracted to psychopaths, pitiful, lonely women looking for love in all the wrong places, damaged women, control freak women, drama queen women, women with messiah complexes, or they are saintly, self-sacrificing celibate women who give it all up to stand by their men. In other words, we pathologize women who choose to marry men behind bars, and we worship women who have stayed married to their incarcerated husbands. Like all stereotypes, these types reflect a bit of truth, much exaggeration, and a lot of ignorance. In fact, the reason women marry or stay married to men behind bars are as diverse, quirky, open-hearted, misguided, optimistic, rational, irrational, well-considered, and impulsive as the reason women marry or stay married to men in the free world. In this mostly hidden subculture of women married to men behind bars, there are MBIs, those who were married before incarceration, and MWIs, those who got married while incarcerated. What modest attention is paid to these many hundreds of thousands of women is primarily focused on MWIs, and that attention is focused on what's wrong with these women. How could they, and why would they? There are those said to suffer from hybristophilia, a mental condition when someone, most always a woman, is obsessively attracted to, gets intense sexually from a man who committed notorious crimes. Yes, it's a real thing, documented. The more heinous the crime, the more likely an inmate is to receive fan mail and marriage proposals from women. There are women who were victims of abuse and mistreated by fathers, previous husbands, boyfriends. These women, so the logic goes, figures that if they're in a relationship with a man in prison, he's not going to hurt them. He can't hurt them. Unlike in their past relationship, they are safe. I didn't think of that one. Or there are MW women who are calculating manipulators on a power trip. They hold all the cards. The guy is dependent on them for news of the outside, for money contributed to the canteen account, for human kindness, all of which they can dispense or not at will. Believe it or not, yes, I didn't think of that either. Or folks, how about this? Many women who marry incarcerated men fall in love with them. That's right, love, intellectual, emotional, spiritual bonding, the sharing of ideas and stories, beliefs, hopes, and dreams, humor, sadness, random observation. You know, the stuff of life. The psychologist Megan Comfort interviewed dozens of women married or involved with inmates, and she found, contrary to what we think we know, that they were not attracted to the bad boy, not attracted to the thrill of risky choices, but rather quite the opposite. The women she interviewed were attracted to what we would consider these men's feminine qualities. The men were thoughtful and communicative. They were listeners. They were interested in establishing and nourishing a lasting emotional relationship. A sexual relationship not being possible, not now and maybe never. They were interested in finding a soulmate, not a bedmate. I know two such couples, and I deeply admire their commitment to each other. These hidden words are masked by stereotypes. The more we know, the less likely we are to fool ourselves into thinking we know. And I believe that's it. It kind of gives, I mean, I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, it kind of gave a little insight of what I wasn't even thinking of. You're right. Women want someone to listen to them sometimes. Not all women, but they want that type of connection where the person is listening to them, where they have someone they're having a bad day, they can call them up and, hey, I'm having a bad day. They want someone to make them feel better type of thing. So I never thought of it that way, but that article did, the author of that article did put, she makes sense. She makes perfect sense. And it was written by Lauren Kessler. Jay Brimble goes, I saw an MTV program once about a man having a relationship with a large woman doll. He even took her to the beach. I spoke about there was a woman that married a doll, and there's also a man that married a doll. And I had spoke about them. I believe they were both in Latin America. I did speak about them. She even had pictures of her giving birth to her doll children. I mean, at least these women in prison are talking to actual people. I know the people with the dolls are something completely different. Jay Brimble goes, or Julissa goes, Jay Brimble, I believe that there's a lot of loony people out there. There's a lot of lonely people out there. There's some people that just don't want to deal with people, so they go that route. I don't know why they go that route, but they do that. But I know for one, I never had thought of writing to an enemy. I know there's some people that have, but I never thought of, and I don't think I ever would strike up a conversation with someone unless it was someone I knew. It would be a possibility, but not like what these women have gone through. Maybe they do like being their independent women. They like to have their space. So that could be the reason. We will never know. Julissa goes, great article, perfect for the spooky time of year. And I see Skeleduck tonight, finally. Oh, as always, guys, Skeleduck is somewhere in this background. I forgot to say I kind of put him in an easy spot because I didn't really have time to hide him this time. But obviously, you could probably see him. But if you guys are new, Skeleduck is on my upper left-hand corner, could be your upper right-hand corner. That is what he looks like. It doesn't matter what studio I'm in. If I remember to bring him, I hide him in the background. And I'll give you a few minutes to look before I reveal his location. Please remind me because sometimes I do forget. Nerd Report goes, thanks for supporting Lisa, everyone. Lisa Boo goes, I find this fascinating. I do too. That's why I wanted. That's why I kind of wanted to speak about it because I was like, why do these women do this? Honestly, because it's kind of like I said earlier, like a long distance relationship, and I know sometimes long distance relationships are tough because you cannot be with the person you love, type of thing. You can't help who you love. I mean, I just don't know. It baffles me because I probably would never try to even talk to someone like Ted Bundy or if I were to talk to Ted Bundy, it would be to interview him, not to have a relationship with him, but or any of those guys or yeah. But women find them attractive somehow. And then you so your goes, what about Al Bundy? Julissa goes, because you are saying, Lisa, yes. Yes. Like I said, the only reason why I would probably talk to some of these people would to interview them. Other than that, not to have a relationship with them or anything. No. No. Wendy goes, great insight. Even when you get enfolded with a bad man, manipulative, and sociopath, you're on the edge all the time. The law caught up with him, and too nice of a person with a great heart. They see something we don't. Not seeing that no one deserves to have love, because everyone deserves to have love. But they have a right to love who they want. Anyone has a right to love who they want to, even if the person is in prison, and even if the person is convicted in prison. So or they're drawn to the complete opposite, or like what that article had said, they have the upper hand because they're on the outside and the person's on the inside. It's a way of control. Like someone's been hurt, like she had said, which I never thought of that analogy, but someone's been hurt, that person can't hurt me. Someone's been cheated on, that person can't cheat on me. There's still other ways, I feel like it, but that's the only thing I can think of. It's a woman that's out on her luck and she's looking for companionship, and she just happens to write a letter to someone in prison just for the hell of it, and strikes up a conversation and ends up falling in love. I mean, I guess it's like any other relationship, it's just, except this person committed a heinous crime. Heather Salvatore goes, it's a TikTok thing they see when they get out of jail and pick up random men when they get out of jail. Could be. And then also too, some of these men were televised, so you're watching the guy on television. I know the Menendez brothers was televised, but some of these, some of them were on television. Obviously, when they're talking about in the news, even if the court was not televised, but when they're talking about, hey, the Hillside Strangler was caught, they'll show a picture of him on the news, and everybody kind of watches the news because they want to know what's up. So something along the lines there gets the people interested in the person, and they decide to go, what the hey, let's write them. It's very, very, very interesting, very fascinating, to the least. I mean, I guess in that last article, they interviewed a lot of women, and it was just they're attracted to the feminine option, the feminine part of the men, where the men listens to them, because obviously they're in prison. They can't. There's no other, and the guy in prison wants someone to talk to too. So I never thought of it that way, but Lisa Boot, yes, it is happening with Koberger too. So, I do not know. That is one thing I would not do, and I know a lot of you would not do. I don't fault these women for doing what they're doing. I don't. To each his own. I kind of feel like they're strong women because they're in love with someone like that and they stand by their side. To me, that's strong. Because you get a lot of criticism. And also too, you kind of have to be strong too as well because you're holding the fort. A lot of times your husband may never get out, or it does happen to men as well, or your wife. Tickle Tits, what's up? Thank you for being a member of the Wolfpack for 14 months. Hearts for Tickle Tits. One brother is hotter than the other. Which one, Tinkle Tits? But for example, too, they have no time, so they can lift weights, so they do get they get ripped when they're in prison. That's another thing. I saw when I was watching that documentary, if you the one that I was talking about earlier with the Menendez brothers on Netflix, you could see that Lyle has been working out. So I don't know if that's one of the things women are like, oh my God, look at those muscles. I don't know. Tickle or Wendy goes Eric for sure. But yeah. I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating when people do crazy things. I feel like this isn't as crazy as, like I said, the people that married ghosts, but I'm still always looking to see what's going on with them because I want to find someone else that gets in that situation. But Julissa, thank you as well for being a member of the Wolfpack for 18 months. I've been a member for 18 months. Love your channel. Hearts for Julissa as well. Thank you, Julissa. Matthew's like neither of them. Tico did say my boyfriend just asked Alexa to play the worst song he knows, and it played Britney Hit Me One More Time. What? That song isn't that bad. I think everybody knows like the Julissa, that's right. Alexa does not like Britney, apparently. She does not like Britney. She does not. If you ask her, she'll answer you too if you ask her. Teagle Tits goes, it's a good song. Britney was my first concert. It is. It's not bad. Heather, whatever goes, there you go. Alexa is jealous. Don't worry, guys. I wasn't going to let the night go fade away without something spooky. If you're familiar with Finn Wolford, he is on Stranger Things, and he also was in It. He is recalling a ghost encounter that he had while filming It. It was pretty scary. This is Finn Wolford now. This is kind of what he looked like in It. He's kind of all like a complete transformation from when he was in It. A scary clown wasn't the only fright that Finn Wolford and his co-stars, I was going to say cousins, had to face while filming It. It's an exclusive conversation with people tied to his partnership with Ring for its great ghost search. Again, guys, if you have, I don't know if you could still enter, but I did mention about Ring where if you enter a ghost video, I'm looking forward to see some of the submissions. I know Ring in the past had done one about aliens as well, and some of those videos were hilarious. The actor, who is now 21, recalls potentially seeing a spirit on the set of the 2017 horror film. I've been in a lot of supernatural movies and TV shows, but ironically, I've never really seen a full on ghost, Wolford said. But there was a time when I was a kid shooting it in the abandoned mansion in Toronto, and me and a bunch of the other casts were exploring the floors. We went up to the top floor, and there was one room where we saw a guy in black just kind of doing electrician work. And we were just like, okay, that's just a crew member, he continues. But then later we found out that no one knew who that was and no one ever saw him again. It could have been someone just messing around, but yeah, it was pretty scary, adds the star, who has appeared in other horror-based projects, including Stranger Things, The Turning, The Addams Family, plus Ghostbusters Afterlife and Frozen Empire. And it, Wolfhard, try to say that a gazillion times, stars as Richie Tozier, a member of the group of friends known as the Losers Club, who are terrorized by a demonic being that appears in the form of Pennywise the Dancing Clown, played by Bill Skarsgård. He did an amazing job. I became a fan of Bill Skarsgård because of this film. Unfortunately, the second one was kind of the weaker one, which was sad. It did have the kids all grown up, but I just felt like it was weaker. The first one was way better. Alongside the actor, others who appeared in the film include Sophie Lillis, Jaden Lieberher. I am probably butchering that name. I do apologize. Wyatt Olef, Chosen Jacobs, Jack Dylan Grazer, and Jeremy Ray Taylor. And there was also a mini-series, TV series in the 90s. Wendy goes, the book was so much better. Heather whatever goes, shivers. Julius goes, talented kid. He is. He's very talented. Matthew goes, Alexa likes Queen. And I apologize for all of you that have Alexa. I'm setting off your Alexa right now. She's like, yes, I didn't quite understand what you wanted to say. Say that again. And everyone's like, there's also, I've been seeing this bounce around and I didn't know what it was. I saw an ad. I did find an article. There is going to be a horror experience based on Insidious. I am not a big fan of the Conjuring universe or the Insidious, which kind of involves Insidious. I did love Lynn Shay in it. She was amazing. To tour because of the jump scares. If you're not familiar with the Conjuring universe's jump scares, they make their jump scares really obvious. Where the camera is panning and you see the figure. I'm going to use the nun. You see the figure of the nun in the shadow. The person and then the camera pulls back, and then a loud noise goes, and then the nun is like in your face. I hate those. I like the ones that are subtle, the ones that you don't expect, and I have gotten, they've gotten me a few times. I like the ones I was watching. What movie was it? I was watching a film, and it was, I forgot the name of the film, but it was a kid hiding from a monster, was hiding underneath the bed, and the kid's looking, around for the monster, and you could see in the background the monster's crawling up the wall. That, I love those type of things. The Insidious franchise has captivated horror fans for over a decade, delivering heart-stopping thrills and chilling narratives that linger long after the credits roll. Now this beloved series is set to take fear to new heights with the Insidious. The further you fear, prepare for a truly terrifying journey as you navigate through the shadows, face iconic characters, and experience the heart-stopping suspense that had made Insidious a box office sensation. Check out the press release below. I don't know where it's coming to. But it says, brace yourself for the scare of a lifetime as the world of Insidious jumps off the screen and directly into your theater seat with Insidious, the further you fear. A live immersive horror experience. I'm down to go check this out. That will bring your darkest fears to life right before your eyes, based on the box office hit horror film franchise from Blumhouse. Director James Wan and writer Lee Wanell. I almost said his name wrong. GEA Live, Blumhouse, Sony Pictures Entertainment, and Roadco Entertainment have joined forces to unveil a spine-tingling live immersive show that will haunt 80-plus seated theaters across North America starting in January of 2025. Tickets go on sale October 25th, so check out their website. There is a video for it, but I did not see it. I just actually saw an ad because I saw an ad and I thought, are they coming out with another movie? I think they are too. It's a live, so if you guys are wondering, it is a heart-pounding live theatrical experience. So that sounds kind of interesting. I thought when I first read it, I thought it was a like a horror maze, something similar to Universal Studios, but I guess it's not. It's like a theater experience. And it is also a new story. That is kind of interesting. Justine, yes, that was me. She's asking, hey, is that at Nerd Report the woman who was doing that amazing music? Please. Yes, that was me. I'm assuming that you're talking about me. Wendy goes, Blumhouse is putting great content on streaming. They do have some great films. Nerd Report goes, Insidious has nothing to do with The Conjuring. I'm not saying it's not part of The Conjuring. I didn't say it was part of The Conjuring. I just said it kind of has the same elements as The Conjuring. Let me clear that up. And I think Lewis did tell me that he was going live on Twitch. Guys, I am now going to open it up for questions. I'll give you a few minutes to, I know Skelly Duck is easy to find, but I'll give you a few minutes to look. If you guys have any. Oh, that's cool. Justine, actually, I have my own channel too as well, because I was on Nerd Report's channel, but I do have my own. So if you want to catch me there, I'll drop it in the link real quick. Because you saw me on Nerd Reports. I do have my own if you would like to follow me there and let everyone know as well. Because I do need followers. Hold on. I cannot type on this computer. Give me a second, guys. And I believe Lewis is going to go on after, so we're going to head. I've dropped my Twitch channel for my music. I play mostly techno, but I do add house in there every once in a while. I did drop it. I do have my own channel. I was on Lewis's for a bit, and then I started off mine. So if you guys have not followed me there and you have Twitch, please follow me there. We are also going to head. Justine, I have dropped it in the chat. It is right there. Thank you, Justine. I appreciate that. We are also going to head over after I end this stream. We're going to head over to DJ Lewis Love. He has said that he's going to go live. He plays a little different than I do. He plays all genres. So here's my thing again. For those of you, if you could please follow me on Twitch, on my DJ channel. Julissa goes, will you be streaming on Halloween and will you be wearing a costume? I will be streaming on Halloween. I'll probably make it all spooky because I've been going down the thank you, Justine. I appreciate that. I will be I'll probably have it more spooky on that day. I've been doing both true crime and spookiness because those are both my true loves, and I always said that true crime always has something to do with horror. It's kind of like hand in hand. But yes, I will be streaming next Thursday on the 31st as well. I don't know if I'm going to be wearing a costume. I'll have to think of something. Thank you, Heather, whatever. I appreciate that. Oh, no problem, Justine. Thank you. Lisa Boo, thank you, Lisa Boo. Thank you, Lisa. Been a great show, very fast. Thank you, Lisa Boo. I appreciate it. I kind of do, if you guys are just coming in, I do all things spooky, true crime, strange and unusual, aliens. Those are my interests. Those are what I like to talk about. Wendy, I think you copy and paste it. Like you'll copy and paste it onto a note and save it that way. Or if you have like a note thing, because I have notes on my phone, on my front page of my phone where I put little notes. Heather, whatever, thank you for your PayPal. Saying good job. Hearts for Heather, whatever. Chris, I do have a Joann's Fabrics, or at least because I did buy something, at least online I do, so I will check that out. Chris is saying, do you have a Joann's Fabric there, Lisa? Their skeletons are 70% off right now. I will have to check that out. I did buy a skeleton from them. That was on sale as well. It was a little skeleton that was mixing, like a DJ skeleton. I was like, oh my God, I have to have that. All right, guys. Any last minute questions? We are gonna head over to DJ Lewis Love on Twitch. I will drop his link in the chat. Hold on. He is live. We are going to head over there. I cannot raid him from YouTube. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Check out Lewis Love. He is live now. We are going to head over there. If you guys have Twitch and you guys like house music, he plays pretty much everything. Thank you, Julissa. I appreciate that. Chris goes, big alligator skeleton for fit. Ooh, I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check it out. Guys, I almost forgot. Skeleduck, he's in an easy position, so I really don't have to give it up. But he is like right above me, right there. I didn't have time to hide him, as you know, because Lewis was using the studio and I had to jump on real quick. But he is right there where my finger's pointed. I know no one asked because you could see it. Matthew goes, believe it or not, Skeleduck is on air. All right, any last minute question, guys, before we head over to DJ Lewis Love on Twitch? And I can't type correctly because I added a quotation mark. And if you guys are watching from Twitch, check out DJ Lewis Love on Twitch. He is live right now. And without further ado, if there's no other questions, I will end the stream here, guys. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Grace Report. I will see you on the next one, which will be Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there, be square, stay spooky, guys, and sweet nightmares, and have a great rest of your weekend. Good night, guys. I'll see you on the next one. You guys are awesome. Good night, guys. Head over to DJ Lewis Love on Twitch. One last time, I have put the link in the chat. All right, good night, guys. Have a good one.